you relocated to Canada. You started kind of sharing your journey online, which I thought was so cool. Listening to you share like how people can basically enter into the country. What made you passionate about helping others?
Visa applications are one of the most easiest things to do as long as you have the required documents.
What advice do you have for moms who are new to the country and trying to find a new community?
Each country you're applying to, they have their rules, they have their requirements, they have their criteria. Sometimes Nigerians say, oh, when you travel abroad and you meet with Nigerians, just try to avoid them as possible. I don't think that's good enough. Some people get banned for 10 years, some people get banned indefinitely, and it's for something that could have been avoided. I was so ignorant that after they already submitted the application on my behalf, all I needed to do was go for my biometrics. I didn't even know all these things until recently. I just requested for my previous applications, and I'm like, what? When did I work here? When did I do this? And I paid you.
Hello, mamas. Welcome to another Busy Moms Get It Done podcast. Before I introduce today's guest, I want to do some housekeeping. Please share, like, and leave a review about what you think of the podcast. Also, if you have any guest suggestions, please let me know by just leaving their names in the comments below. And now it's time to welcome today's guest. Today's guest is the one and only Boluwatife Ajayi.
Yeah.
She is
Hi.
a digital content creator, and on Instagram, she shares tips for those looking to relocate to Canada. She's also a wife and mom of two. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
So before I start and get into the nitty-gritty of what today's podcast is about, I want to go into what your motherhood journey was like. When you were a kid, what was your expectation of motherhood, and how did that meet your reality going forward?
Okay, so when I was a kid, I just thought, honestly, I didn't know how having a kid came about. I just knew that most women around me just had children. So
Mm-hmm.
I basically thought it was very easy. I used to have like dolls back then. I just keep them. I don't, take care of them as much. But then it's it's very different because when you have a child, they depend on you for every single thing, even to sleep. They depend on you to help them to sleep, to help them do everything. So what I thought and my reality are two different things because it's a whole lot of work.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. I think that the sleeping part is,
Yeah,
is the one that's the
yeah.
surprising.
If you want to
Because you,
sleep, just go ahead and sleep. But then they want you to rock them, they want you to sing,
yeah,
they want you to do everything for them.
yeah. Sleeping is scary for kids for some reason. So you relocated from Nigeria. Obviously, you were born in
Yeah,
Nigeria. Is that correct?
it's our
Um,
point.
yes. And so you live in Canada now, but you lived in Scotland before. So what was that relocation journey like?
Oh, okay. So we moved to Scotland from Nigeria because my husband wanted to study in Scotland. He took a program at the Robert Gordon University. He studied construction projects management. So after his program, honestly, we wanted to live in Scotland. We wanted to stay there. But then my husband couldn't get a job of his choice. Like he kept looking and looking and looking. And I, on the other hand, I was determined not to pay postgraduate work permit fee because I felt like it was ridiculous. It was too expensive for a family of three. And I thought to myself, since I wanted to also do a graduate program, I wanted to do my master's or a graduate program. I thought of it that the same amount I was going to use for my postgraduate work permits at the UK is the same amount that is going to probably pay like half of my fees in Canada. So we decided to come to Canada and I studied. And thankfully, my husband was able to get a job of his choice. So, to your question, the relocation journey was really smooth because we
Mm.
had community. We had a family friend who was already on ground. She was already living in Scotland like months before we came. So she accommodated us before we got our own accommodation. And it was really easy. It was pretty much easy settling down because we had like a community. We had somebody, and then we were able to build one too with the church and things like that. So that's
Now,
how it worked for us.
I'm glad you had a smooth journey. I wonder because you said you were a family of three. So did you already have your son before moving to Scotland, or did
Yeah.
you have your son in Scotland? What was that
Also, I had my
like
son in Nigeria.
in
I
Nigeria?
had my son in Nigeria. Yeah.
So
It was
what?
pretty much difficult. It was really difficult because my husband had to go to school and I had to work. At that time, I was working as a support worker in a care home that
Hmm.
had about 40 residents. Coming back, my husband had to, I was always on night shifts. And that was because my husband and I couldn't be away from home at the same time because of my son. At that time, he didn't have daycare and he was less than 2. So he had to be at home with us because, of course, daycare was really expensive. So what we'll do is days when my husband had to go to school and I went on night shift, my shift finished at 7, 7:30 thereabouts, and he had to be in school around that time or before then. So my husband will meet me at the bus stop. He'll take my son out with him and then meet me at the bus stop. So we're basically exchanging the child at the bus stop. It was really difficult. It was really difficult. Then I go back home with my son and, get a little bit of sleep and then we switch again.
Sounds hard.
Yeah.
Sounds
Yeah,
like there
yeah.
was no sleep during
Yeah,
that time.
that was really, yeah, that was really tough. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
we survived it. We survived it.
No, no, I think a lot of people do that even because daycare is still very expensive.
Yeah,
Especially I live in
no.
in the US, and so my kids have never been to daycare, thank God. But it's been really, really tough when it comes to that expense.
Mhm.
So when you were doing that, obviously you were dealing with the issues of working, but you were also dealing with like helping this toddler grow in
Yeah.
another country. What was that journey like for you?
Well, because that was also kind of difficult because the mode of, bringing up a child was quite different for me.
Mm,
Where I was coming from, when a child does something wrong, the first thing to do is yell, sometimes you spank. And now you're coming to a community where you are not allowed to do those things. So I was forced, let me not say forced, I had to learn gentle parenting. Then
mm,
I realized that before that was when I realized that before being a mom, there were so many things that I needed to learn. But I didn't know that I needed to learn those things. Like I needed to look at ways you can talk to a child and get them to listen to you other than yelling or spanking them because of course it was against the laws and I didn't want to go to jail. So I had to
yeah.
look at other options of how to train up a child. And it's still like something I'm working on. The gentle parenting, I'm really working on it. There are times that I lose it. But then I get it
We
together
all do.
because these schools they test me, but then overall it's been good. I've been able to model what I want him to be because basically that's what I've been able to learn over the years. That behavior you want them to have. Children do not learn by what you tell them. They learn by what they see you do.
Mm.
So I've been trying to model good behavior, not yelling at him and whatnot.
I have
So
to
yeah.
ask because you kind of veered into this topic. I know, like, we didn't plan on this, but I'm also like dealing with that, like, not gentle parenting, but like intentional. I call it intentional parenting,
Mhm.
but like,
Yeah.
of because I know you're a Christian. So have you had to like deal with I guess, how did you have to deal with the thoughts of like what the Bible says about parenting, spare not the rod versus
Yeah.
like that, like trying to also be, gentle. How did you deal with those two? It
I
feels like
still
they contradict each other, but I've
yeah.
kind of learned that maybe they don't. I don't
Mhm.
know if you had the
I'm
same
still
thought.
struggling with it. I'm still struggling with it because I feel like there are some times that my son does something and I feel like he deserves to get spanked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it deserves to get spanked. But then, although in Canada you're allowed to give like 2 spanks, but
Mhm.
yeah, I just I just don't want to anymore. So
Yeah.
I still struggle with it. I'm still struggling with yelling because sometimes I still yell. I still do a
I
lot.
struggle with yelling.
Yeah,
I
I'm
struggle
still
with yelling
honestly, I'm
too.
still struggling. To
Yeah.
be very honest, I'm not there yet. I'm still struggling. I'm still struggling with it.
Um, so you relocated to Canada. You started kind of sharing your journey online, which I thought was so cool. Listening to you share like how people can basically enter into the country. What made you passionate about helping others, immigrating to Canada, and how did you become so knowledgeable about the process?
Okay, so what made me get so passionate about it is because I've been there. Like, I've had times when agents processed my visa application for me, and recently, like some years back, I figured that the agent said so many things that were not true, like so many lies. And I just thought to myself that why didn't I just do this thing myself? Like, I went to school, I'm educated. When I need to ask questions, you can go online to check. These things, the resources are there. So why did I even have to get an agent in the first place? And the agent had to now ruin my history, and now I'm having to do so much explanation to the visa officers based on what the agent has done. So I then my husband and I tried our UK application by ourselves. Permanent residence in Canada. We did it ourselves, and definitely by God's grace, fingers crossed, we're going to have everything, you know, positive. But then
Amen.
what made me passionate about it is because I know that there are a lot of people in my shoes. And I discovered that visa applications are one of the most easiest things to do as long as you have the required documents, especially both countries that I've tried, both Canada and UK. They have they have it on their websites. That's what I've got to learn now, that each country you're applying to, they have their rules, they have their requirements, they have their criteria just right there on their websites. All you need to do is go over there and read. So I got passionate about telling people and letting them know that you can do this yourself. All you need to do is probably ask questions from people who have done it before. There are resources online. There are frequently asked questions online. There's Reddit, so you can use it instead of pay agents and then they go ahead to still do, wrong things for you. And I'm also saying some people are busy and they don't have the time to do it. If you're ever going to use an agent, I think you should use the ones who are registered with, for example, IRCC. That's Canada's immigration body. They have a designated, they have a list of all their registered immigrants agency and whatnot. So why just use them? And I feel like they are very expensive. So if you can't afford them, then you have to pick one. Either you do it yourself or you use authorized agent. So I don't want people to fall into my type of situation where an agent lied I was working in organizations that I've never even been. The agents
Mm.
even, put that I was living in Abuja. Meanwhile, I was living in Lagos. How do you explain this? And I was so ignorant that after they already submitted the application on my behalf, all I needed to do was go for my biometrics. I didn't even know all these things until recently. I just requested for my previous applications. There's something you can do to request for the details that you submitted in your previous applications. And I saw all these things and I'm like, what? What? When did I work here? When did I do this? And I paid you. All I needed you to do was fill in my application. I gave you my my details. I gave you all my data and nothing. Even the
Mm.
name of my siblings. Like, it doesn't even take you anything. I already gave you the name of my siblings. All you had to do was put it there and you know. So I never want anybody to be in that shoe because some people don't get a chance to explain themselves. They
Right.
just get banned. Some people get banned for 10 years. Some people get banned indefinitely, and it's for something that could have been avoided. So that's why I try to talk about these things so that people see that it's easy. Once I already give the breakdown of the pathway, I think the rest is left for you to just go there and see that okay, I'm eligible for this thing and I can apply. Yeah.
I
So that's
wonder
it.
though if part of it is the fear, right? Are people afraid
Mhm.
that maybe they'll do something wrong? Because like sometimes when you're
Yeah.
processing the language that they're
Mhm.
using as you're processing, it
Yeah.
can be like, am I doing this right? I don't know. And then they're
Mhm.
asking for so many things, and so you're like, well, do I really need all of the things that they're asking? So how do
Yeah.
people deal with that? Like, how do you say, oh, how do you deal with that fear of like making sure that you're doing everything
So I
correct?
know that there are other agencies, there are other people aside from me who give answers to all these things. I know of a page on Instagram that does these things for free. It has a group chat where people come together to talk about their questions. So I feel like that's okay. You can ask people who have done it before and look for people who like accounts, digital creators that talk about. There are other digital creators that talk about these things. You can ask them questions as long as they are not feeling your forms for you and they're not doing anything extraordinary, they won't charge you for it. I don't charge people coming to my DM to ask me questions. I'm always very happy to, break it down to them and ask and answer their questions.
What advice do you have for moms who are new to the country and trying to find a new community? Because obviously you went through it in Scotland and now you're kind of doing it in Canada.
Yeah.
How did you go about finding your community? And what if you don't know anyone in the process?
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry to the Muslims who might not like this, but the church, that's for me. So for Muslims, it might be the mosque for you to find the best community, but for
Mm,
me, it was the church. I used to attend Living Faith Church back in Nigeria, but coming to Canada, the only church I can see around here is the Redeemed Christian Church of God, and
mhm.
that's where I built a community. So I think having a church community from the church, you can meet other people. Like somebody from the church can introduce you to somebody that knows somebody. For example, we have someone who came into the north recently, and it was through him coming to the church that he was able to get a job because one of the managers, could look at his CV and see that, oh, we're looking for somebody who can do this. Do you mind if you come for a quick interview? So I believe that the church has helped me. Back in Scotland, it was the church and my friend that I mentioned. And here, my parents live here. So it was easy for us to settle down. But at the same time, I have a community in the church. I also joined a creators accountability group with Folashade Daini on Instagram, and that has also helped me. It's for creators who have questions, so we help each other with engagement, and we ask each other questions. If there is an edit you're not getting, we help each other do that. So just look for a community that you think you fit in and then try to join the community. I'm very big on community. I'm very big on it, especially the church community. They are really helpful.
Yeah, I
So,
find that a lot of times
mhm.
it's first of all, it's hard to find a church.
Oh
It's hard to find a
yeah,
church that you
yeah.
vibe with because like when you're coming from someplace else, even me, I when I moved from like I used to live in New York, so now I live in a different state. It
Mhm.
took me a while. I just found a church this year and I've been in the state for 6 years. So like like
Oh,
I think it's kind of hard. So I think that sometimes you're like going around looking for
mhm.
different
Mhm.
things that like you feel speaks to your spirit. Um
Mhm.
Another question I had is like what are some of the mistakes you see people making when they're trying to immigrate or when they're trying to move from one country to another?
Um, I think one mistake is sometimes Nigerians say, oh, when you travel abroad and you meet with Nigerians, just try to avoid them as possible. I don't think that's good enough
Yeah.
because you can't tell. Yeah, I'm not saying you should be chummies with everybody you meet, but then, you know, we are Christians and we pray for a discerning spirit. You just ask God to lead you to the right person. So I don't think people should join the bandwagon of, oh, when you see Africans, just run away from them because they are this, they are that. So far, I've met Africans who have helped with jobs, who have helped with like little things that you don't even know about. So it's one mistake you shouldn't make. Another thing is not finding out the resources you have in the community. For example, in the library in Canada, getting a library card in Canada can open you up to different type of things. There are some freebies that you can get from just registering with the library. I think Reddit too. I think Reddit too. Yeah, you should just check on there to see, how you can settle in and all that. So I think also one mistake people do. Credits. Some
Okay.
people see that, oh yes, these things are free. It's not
Mm,
free. So they just go about doing anything. Some people come in. One time I was asking my friend that, oh, what's the thing that you wish somebody had told you before coming to Canada? She said she wished somebody told her that your first car shouldn't be a new car. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be a car you buy with credit. You can buy something off somebody like second-handed vehicles. You can check Facebook Market for things. It doesn't have to be the new one because you're just trying to settle down. You don't want to start getting into all those type of payments that would, you have to pay every month and all that. So I would say take your time. You still have a long time to be here. So the time will come, but not as soon as you come. Your first car should be like something you need necessarily. Like it doesn't have to be luxury. It's
right.
just because you need to move around. So yeah. And then people can also try to use the thrift store, just try to save funds as much as you can.
Yeah, I think that we all make the mistake when it comes to credit because
Yeah.
as you you forget that like
Yeah.
you have to pay this money back, and I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, the money is not free. So,
It's not. Yeah.
um, I wanted to know what are some of the most common struggles or questions you receive from your audience about the immigration process or adjusting to a new country, and how have you and what are your suggestions for that?
Okay. So the first thing people struggle with is having low CRS score. So, Canada has like an express entry pool where
Mm-hmm.
they pick people off their score. So they usually have like a cutoff. So people have like issues having the score that's good enough for them to be invited. So people struggle with that. And I advise them to look for like ways they can increase their score if it's to get like extra education like a diploma, a certification, anything to boost your score or even another language test because that's something that can boost your CRS. Another thing is the funds. Some people have difficulties with the amount of money that is. Relocation is actually capital intensive. So my advice to people is, always, you don't just wake up today and say, oh, I'm leaving today. It has to be like a long-term plan. It's not short-term because of the financial responsibility that goes into it. So I usually advise people that, you start planning 6 months, at least 6 months. You don't say, oh, I want to, for instance, you can't say, oh, I want to move to Canada today. And then maybe by December I'm ready. I think you should give yourself a space of 6 months for you to gather funds, document, save enough money, and, get prepared for it mentally because you're changing your entire life. It's not something that just comes in like that. So that's what I advise when it comes to funds. And then for like common mistakes, some people also say that, oh, I'm afraid I might have an error in my application. I tell them that even if you have submitted it, you can always go back. You can always go back to tell IRCC. You can send them a web form. You can give them a call and let them know that, oh, as at the time I submitted my application, there was this and this and this and this, and that was incorrect. I'm just letting you know that I'm willing to correct it, and then I'm able to provide all the documents required for this. I think that's basically it.
So you are in Canada, and so I wanted to know about, uh, in your opinion, does Canada offer the better options and support for moms? And what are some of the options that you think better suits moms? I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah. Um, well, I think Canada is not doing badly when it comes to norms in terms of allowing, women. pursue their dreams by providing like free healthcare,
Hmm.
education, maternity leave and paternity leave definitely to, create that work-life balance. So
I saw that not you just recently graduated, so congratulations. So you,
thank
not
you.
only did you immigrate, you also attended school while navigating a new
Mhm.
country and taking care of your two kids. What was that process like? I know the first time with your husband going to school, obviously you did opposite shifts, but with this time
Yes.
around, how did that differ? What was better? What did you struggle with?
Mm. It was a real struggle, but thankfully, because I the last time I studied was in Nigeria and then coming here because the courses I did in the UK were just like certifications, nothing too serious. But then coming to Canada, the real study that I've had after my study in Nigeria was in Canada, and it was really different. Like it's really different from what we have in Nigeria. So I had to adjust. But thankfully, my husband had just finished studying in the UK, and it's kind of similar. The process is kind of similar. So it was able to give me some of the resources that I used for his study, like websites I could get resources from. I could get free books, websites I could also do referencing on. So that kind of helped me. But then it was still very difficult, like getting into the system. The first like 1 month of school, I was basically confused. I didn't know what was going on. I was just lost in everything. I had to keep up. But then after the first term, the second term was much better for me because I got used to the whole system and how things worked. And thankfully, when I joined, I met two people, no, sorry, one person who had studied in the past. She just finished the program in the same school. So she knew everything that was happening and she knew how to guide me. So she was my friend and it was very easy for me to get like resources from her because she knew what to do. So for example, the first month rather we were going to have like if some tests. I didn't even realize, but she then told me that, oh, after you resume, just give yourself 3 or 4 weeks. You're going to start having tests soon. And I'm like, really? I didn't even know that. So her telling me I could prepare for it. And that was it. She helped me all through my program because she was there before. She knew the ropes. And that was good for me.
I saw the video of you showing your sons how to, understand the Yoruba language. And
Mm.
so how do you teach your children about your home culture while also helping them integrate into a new environment? And obviously it feels like they grew into it a lot, right? Because
Mm.
they're young. But what are some of your advice you have for moms who are trying to do the same?
Okay, so when I was in the university in Nigeria, I met a friend who was born in the UK and she grew up there for about 17 years of her life. And I saw that she could speak Yoruba fluently. So I'm like, how did you do that? She said, oh, their mom said maybe later when she asked her mom, my mom told her that she knew English wasn't going to be a problem because definitely they would go to school. And then, of course, they were living in London. Definitely you'd know how to speak English, but then nobody on the road will speak Yoruba to you. So I have to teach you from home. So their mom didn't teach them English. She just went on to speak Yoruba to them full on. And they didn't have a problem with English because it was definitely taught in school. They hear other people speak it. They hear it on TV, on the bus, everywhere. So they could also speak English, but their mom had to make conscious effort to make sure that she was speaking Yoruba to them. So that kind of stuck with me. So I didn't sit down anywhere to teach my son English, but he could speak English because people around him were speaking English except me. So I was speaking. I and my husband, we communicate in Yoruba in the house, even when we're speaking with ourselves. So my son was speaking it from there. And then that was even the initial one. He was speaking it from there. And then when I speak to him, I say why he understands what I'm saying already because he has been listening to myself and his dad speak to each other. So it was quite easy. I didn't have to consciously tell him, oh, spoon is shibi in Yoruba. No, he just heard me and his dad most of the time speak it, and then it grabs the language. You know, children, I believe that this is the age where they can learn anything you want them to learn because they absorb everything. So it's quite easy for them to learn it. He's also taking a French class, by the way. I wish I could speak French, but since I can't, he's learning how to speak French. So, and that's going really well.
No, I like that. My children are taking a yoga class because I need help myself. so, so I cannot do it. I can speak it, but they should probably learn from someone who
Oh,
speaks it.
but then I think you should try speaking it as well often. Maybe when you're speaking with your husband, when you're speaking on the phone with other people, they pick it from there.
Yeah,
They'll
I
pick it.
wish I could, but I don't. I feel self-conscious about it because I lost it. I feel like so when I was younger, I felt very self-conscious that people were making fun of me when I speak it. And so because of
Yeah.
that, I kind of stopped speaking it. And
Yeah, I
so they
understand.
when they're learning now, so it's kind of fun for me and them, but I still
Mhm.
feel a little bit self-conscious because I'm like, I don't want to
Yeah, I
I
understand.
don't want to teach you I want to teach you the wrong thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Um
true.
so beyond your content, what are some key resources that you recommend for immigrant moms like seeking support?
Yeah, I think, or is it for the application or just
Or like
moving in?
for the application and then when they come into a new country.
So aside from my content for the application, everything you need is on the government's website for immigration. So make sure you just sit there, look at it, you know, read everything one by one for it to be easy for you. Then moving into Canada, I think you should just ask questions from people around you. You can also check the province. Like for instance, if you move to Ontario, they also have their own websites where they tell you about everything you need to know. So you go there to also check the library, the community, the church community, friends. There are support groups here and there. You can just ask people around you. I think the best thing is not just keeping to yourself, not keeping quiet, asking questions. That will help you settling in.
Well, thank you so much. My final question is before we do a little bit fun, would you rather is if you can go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice on the day you began your immigration journey, as well as on the day you began your motherhood journey, what would it be?
So for my immigration journey, it would be for me to have done it myself. Do it yourself. Do it yourself. And then motherhood journey would just be to breathe. Like there are times you feel like, oh, I'm not doing enough. Oh, my son doesn't know how to do this.
Hmm.
My child doesn't know how to just breathe. For the mere fact that you're thinking to yourself that, oh, my child is not doing this well and this, you're already a good mom because you're worried. So just breathe. Take it easy. Just live one day at a time. Also, I'll tell myself to try developing myself because I can't pour from an empty cup. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's what I would have told myself some years back before being a mom.
Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it, Boo.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I wanted to play a fun game of Would You Rather, and this is Nigerian food edition because I see a little bit of your cooking segments on your Instagram.
Okay.
So would you rather eat pounded yam with spicy egusi soup or eat semo with a rich and savory soup with snails?
Oh, did yeah.
Okay. Would you rather have jollof rice made over firewood, that has that, party jollof rice flavor, or
Uh-huh.
have a homemade cooked jollof rice with plantain?
Passy jollof.
The
The passy jollof.
party jollof, me too.
Uh,
Would you rather have a bowl of well-seasoned ewa going, or have fried gizzard and plantain as a late night snack?
we're great.
Ewa
We're
going.
great.
And finally, would you rather have akara with pap or have a slice of fresh yam and spicy egg sauce?
Akara with pap.
Okay. Sounds good. Where can people find you? How can they reach out to you?
You can reach out to me on Instagram. My handle is underscore Boluwatife. My email is just right there on my bio. You can reach out to me via my email. And my TikTok is the same underscore Boluwatife.
Thank you so much for joining the
Thank you.
podcast. I really appreciate it and for making time. Thank you to
Thank
our
you. Yeah.
audience. Thank you.
Thank
And
you
we'll see
so much.
you next week on Busy Moms Get It Done.
Thank you.